Step into the electrifying world of John Wick, where a retired hitman seeks vengeance against those who wronged him, igniting a whirlwind of action, emotion, and intrigue. Embark on a cinematic odyssey through a meticulously crafted universe brimming with secret societies, ancient traditions, and ruthless assassins. Experience pulse-pounding fight sequences that defy gravity and push the boundaries of action cinema, while witnessing the evolution of beloved characters and the poignant exploration of themes like love, loss, and redemption. Dare to venture into the realm of John Wick, where every frame tells a tale and every punch packs a powerful punch. Welcome to Royal Movie Channel. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Former assassin John Wick loses his wife Helen to a terminal illness. Following her death, John receives a beagle puppy named Daisy, the last gift from Helen to help him cope with his grief. John and Daisy connect and spend time driving around in John's vintage 1969 Ford Mustang. While at a gas station, John encounters Iosef Tarasov, the son of Russian crime lord Viggo Tarasov, who tries to buy his car. John refuses to sell, which angers Iosef. That night, Iosef and his henchmen break into John's house to steal his car, leaving John unconscious and killing Daisy. Iosef takes the Mustang to Aurelio's chop shop to have the VIN changed. Recognizing the car and learning Iosef stole it from John, Aurelio berates the Russian, punches him, and throws him out of the shop. John visits Aurelio, who tells him that Iosef is Viggo's son. Viggo contacts Aurelio to find out why he struck Iosef. Aurelio then reveals about Iosef's actions towards John. Viggo understands Aurelio's reaction and beats Iosef for his stupidity, telling him about John Wick's history as a notorious assassin known as Baba Yaga, or the Boogeyman. When John asked Viggo's permission to retire and marry Helen, Viggo assigned him an impossible task to complete to leave the assassin's life. John succeeded. His actions laid the foundations for the Tarasov syndicate. Viggo contacts John and tries to convince him to spare Iosef and not seek revenge. John silently refuses. To save Iosef, Viggo dispatches a 12-man team to kill John at his house. John takes out all of the assassins and then calls in a service to professionally clean the scene. Viggo places a $2 million bounty on John's head, and even goes as far as offering the contract to John's mentor, Marcus, personally. Marcus warily accepts. John recovers the tools of his trade from under the concrete floor in his home and heads to the Continental Hotel, which caters to the criminal underworld and forbids any business from being conducted on the premises. In response, Viggo doubles the bounty for anyone willing to break the Continental's rules and kill John in the hotel. Winston Scott, the owner of the Continental, informs John that Viggo has Iosef sequestered at the Red Circle nightclub, protected by his men. John assaults the Red Circle to get to Iosef and almost kills him, but is stopped by Viggo's main henchman Kirill, allowing Iosef to escape. Returning to the Continental, John uses their services to tend to his wounds. A fellow assassin, Ms. Perkins, attempts to claim the bounty on him by sneaking into his room and trying to kill him. John is alerted to the plan by Marcus, allowing John to incapacitate Ms. Perkins. John gets the location of Viggo's front organization for Ms. Perkins, then leaves her unconscious in the care of Harry, another assassin at the Continental, to await judgment for breaking the hotel's rules. Miss Perkins kills Harry and escapes. John heads to a church in Little Russia used by Viggo as a front and destroys Viggo's cache of money and blackmail material. Viggo and his men arrive, allowing John to ambush them. However, Vigo's men overpower John and capture him. As Vigo taunts John for believing that he could leave his criminal past behind, John is rescued by Marcus' intervention. Freeing himself, John kills Kirill and forces Vigo to reveal ISF's location. John also forces Vigo to pull the $2 million contract. John then goes to the safe house and kills ISF and his bodyguards. Ms. Perkins informs Vigo that John and Marcus have been in contact. Vigo visits Marcus in his home and tortures him for information before executing him. Vigo contacts John to tell him about Marcus' death and plans to have Ms. Perkins ambush him. However, Winston calls Ms. Perkins into a meeting where she is executed for breaking the rules of the Continental when she killed Harry. Winston informs John that Vigo intends to escape by helicopter, allowing John to reach him in time. John kills Vigo's henchman, then engages in a brutal fight with Vigo. John eventually kills Vigo after allowing himself to be stabbed to get close enough to finish him. John stops at an animal clinic on the waterfront to treat his wound and frees a pit bull puppy scheduled to be euthanized. John and the dog walk along the same boardwalk where John had his last date with Helen. Death and destruction are given an achingly stylish makeover in John Wick. Chapter 4. The increasingly excellent action franchise tops itself with another jaw-dropping onslaught of martial arts choreography and gunplay as Keanu Reeves' fearsome killer takes his battle to an international level. As Wick battles the entirety of the high table, we span the globe from New York to Osaka, Paris to Berlin as the story draws in a memorable rogues gallery of action icons. This includes the revered Donnie Yen as blind fighter Kane, warning, do not underestimate him, whose journey interlocks with that of Wick. Bamboozled by that reference to the high table? Don't know your Wicks from your Winstons? We're here to help. Ahead of the fourth film's release at Cineworld this Friday, here's our bite-sized recap of the explosive and exhilarating story so far. John Wick 2015. John Wick is a retired assassin living with his beloved wife Helen. However, she passes away from an illness, bequeathing him a beagle puppy. Wick is later accosted by ISF Alfie Allen, son of feared New York mobster Vigo, Michael Nyqvist. ISF and his men break into John's house, steal his Ford Mustang and kill his dog. Vigo berates his son for invoking the wrath of the Baba Yaga boogeyman and puts his men on high alert. Vigo used to be John's employer and was the man who gave John a way out of the business after he fell in love with Helen. John breaks out a top-secret weapons cache from the floor of his basement and prepares to go to war. With a $2 million bounty on his head, John seeks sanctuary at the Continental Hotel, managed by Winston, Ian McShane, and with the front desk helmed by Sharon, the late Lance Reddick. The building is considered consecrated ground and it is forbidden for assassins to kill each other while on the premises. Wick dedicates himself to executing ISF over the death of his puppy, as it was his one remaining connection to his late wife. Both Winston and John's old friend Marcus, Willem Dafoe, attempt to dissuade John from returning to his old life. John eventually confronts Vigo at the New York harbor docks, ultimately leaving him to die. John steals a pit bull puppy that is scheduled to be put down. John Wick, Chapter 2, 2017. John is visited by Camorra crime boss Santino D'Antonio, Riccardo Scamarcio, the man who helped John complete his impossible task, which allowed him to retire and marry Helen. In return, John swore to a marker, an unbreakable vow symbolized by a blood oath medallion. However, John rejects the marker presented to him by Santino, which results in his house being destroyed. Upon returning to the Continental, John is reminded by Winston of two sacred vows: no killing on consecrated ground and no rejection of a marker. John then reluctantly commits to Santino's marker, and he is tasked with eliminating the latter's sister Gianna, Claudia Girini, in Rome. By doing so, John will cement Santino's place at the High Table. The High Table is an elite, 12-strong fraternity of high-ranking crime bosses who manage underworld affairs across the globe. With Gianna dead by suicide, John is then double-crossed by Santino and his men who seek to tie up the loose end. Santino opens a contract for $7 million to kill John, ostensibly to avenge his sister, and owing to the marker, John cannot fight back. Winston intervenes and frees John from being unable to move against Santino. John battles his way back to New York to take revenge on Santino, now an official member of the High Table. John seeks help from underground mobster the Bowery King, Lawrence Fishburne. The Bowery King gives John a gun with only 7 bullets, one for each million of the contract, and directs John to an art museum where Santino holds a gala. Santino flees to the Continental where he seeks sanctuary, but John violates the cardinal rule and executes him in the lobby. John's contract is then doubled and he's informed by Winston that he's now excommunicado, cut off from all access to underworld resources. However, Winston gives John a 1-hour head start and a new marker for future use as news of the contract spreads across the world. John Wick, Chapter 3, Parabellum, 2019. Now excommunicado, John is beset on all sides by armed assassins with whom he battles in libraries, antique stores, and on the street. John later meets with the director, Angelica Houston, the head of the Roma crime syndicate, where he presents a rosary and demands safe passage to Casablanca. As John was once a member of the Roma, his passage is reluctantly granted. Meanwhile, Winston and the Bowery King are given 7 days to resign their positions as punishment for helping John. Winston and the Bowery King are being pressured to abdicate by the adjudicator, Asia Kate Dillon, and her assassin accomplice Zero, Mark Dacascos, but Winston refuses. In Casablanca, John uses his new marker to bind old acquaintance Sophia, Halle Berry, to his debt. He compels Sophia to take him into the desert to meet the elder Saeed Tagmawi, the only person above the High Table. After nearly collapsing during his searing journey through the desert, John is brought before the elder, stating he wants to live to keep the memory of his wife alive. The elder agrees to forgive John if he kills Winston and remains subservient to the High Table for the remainder of his life. To seal the deal, John severs his ring finger and he gives the ring to the elder. John returns to the Continental and, upon refusing to kill Winston, the adjudicator revokes the building's neutral status. All-out war erupts as John and Sharon fight the adjudicator's forces, and eventually John mortally wounds Zero. On the roof of the Continental, the adjudicator agrees to a parley with Winston, who offers fealty to the High Table. When John arrives, Winston shoots him off the roof and is later reinstated to his position as manager. John is saved by the Bowery King's men and the two join forces, swearing vengeance against the entirety of the High Table. Advantages in the movie: immaculately choreographed action sequences. The John Wick movies deliver intense and meticulously choreographed action sequences that have earned them a place in the Action Movie Hall of Fame. 1. Visual storytelling. Through visual storytelling techniques, the films immerse viewers in a world of assassins and high-stakes action without relying heavily on dialogue, creating a rich tapestry of emotions and actions. 3. World building. The franchise expertly constructs a detailed universe filled with secret societies, ancient traditions, and ruthless assassins, adding complexity and depth to the narrative. 3. Disadvantages in the movie. Limited thematic exploration. While visually impressive, some critics argue that the movies may lack deep thematic exploration or narrative depth beyond the surface-level vengeance storyline. 1. Style over substance. Despite their visual spectacle, there are criticisms that the films prioritize style over substance, focusing more on action than on profound themes or character development. 1. In summary, the John Wick movies excel in delivering breathtaking action sequences, engaging visual storytelling, and intricate world building. However, they may fall short in exploring deeper themes and character development beyond the adrenaline-pumping action.